George Kilpatrick Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. It's an old school dance party happening Friday, October 10th at the Mercantile. I want to say Exchange for some reason, but anyway, at the Mercantile, which is 217 South Salina Street. We are pleased to be joined by Evelyn and Chino Ingram from the Ingram Castle Foundation. Of course, this is the group that is putting together the rehabilitation of the former Southside Presbyterian Church on the corner of West Colvin and South Salina Street. So let me start with where we at with that.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Question.
Yeah, good lead out. But so first, thank you for having us on the show.
You're welcome.
We're excited to be here. We are excited to share that the castle renovation project is moving forward. It's a quite large project, so there are things that have to be in place before we can actually start the actual renovation. So right now, it's with an architect, a local architecture firm, In Architects, and they are designing and drawing and making sure we can do this and do that and put this there and put that there. So that's obviously quite a process as well. So it's kind of in progress now, and we're excited that hopefully that will be finished by end of the year, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And so I know you had hoped to be open in 26. We going to push that back a little bit?
Yeah, the likelihood is that it'll be more 27 because we had to make sure we had all the architectural designs and structures in place. And like I said, that's taking some time. And what happens after we complete these architectural designs is something called a construction document. And those are the documents that you use when you're going to construction firms to see if they'll be able to complete the project. So all of that is part of this process. And the actual renovation takes about a year. So
Right.
with that in mind, it looks like it's going to be more like 2027.
Chino,
We're praying.
I was going to say, Chino, I bet this is a lot. When it first starts, like, okay, we can do it. And then all of a sudden, it's like turning a new page. Every time you turn a page, there's a new story.
True. And, there's a lot of moving parts. And again, a lot of things people don't see and maybe not even understand, but a lot of things happen behind the scenes. And one of the things that we are kind of up against, in a sense, where it is a historical building. Which means that those are separate guidelines in addition to the architect. Right. So as he's drawing up everything has to be approved. So it's draw, approve, draw, approve, draw, approve. Right. And we just keep taking those steps. So it's not like he can just draw everything up and then hope that everything gets approved, because we don't want it to, get to the finish line and then realize we have to change a few things, throughout the building. So we're kind of creeping, purposely to make sure that everything that we want to happen, everything that he's drawing up to happen, is going to be approved, and we're going to be able to have it pretty much the way we want it designed up. Yeah. So that's the process, and those are the steps, and those are the things that take a little bit more time than we anticipated.
And it's a large building. I mean, the building is over 30,000 square feet. I mean, so that, it really, and there's a lot of nook and crannies, as we'll say. There's a lot of Sunday school rooms, and it's a former church. So we're really just trying to make sure that we get the most of our design, and that'll be best for what we're looking to do with it, after it's completed.
Yeah. And it's interesting. So are you writing a book about it?
We should, because I don't think obviously this is our first development project.
Right.
And for this to be our first project of this magnitude out the gate, we obviously are learning a lot. And we probably could write a book by the time we finish this, and probably some things we could share, with other people. But it's a lot involved. I think, some people are waiting to see the big construction, trucks in the parking lot. That's coming, but we have to do some things before we get there.
The interesting thing, I'm just encouraging you to just take the pictures and make the notes, because I think people really, the making of the castle, right? Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. But speaking of the making of the castle, in order to help with the castle and support the Ingram Castle Foundation and the training center, which is also part of the efforts, just remind people what you envision this project to be.
Yeah. So it's actually 3 components. I think most people are familiar with the event space portion of the building, which obviously will host wedding receptions, conference, galas, things like that, special events. And then the other portion is the lounge. I think people are excited about that, having a lounge where people can come after work and enjoy, appetizers, drinks, things like that, live entertainment. That's the second piece. And the third piece, and not in any specific order, is our foundation, which is the Ingram Castle Foundation. And our vision for that is for it to be a regional training hub for people to come to get training for a variety of areas, particularly those positions related to the castle. So our goal is to be able to have programs that are associated with customer service, hospitality training, security, things like that, with the potential of possibly being hired at the castle. So I think but also being available for other hospitality entities throughout the region. So I think right now, we have a lot of programming ideas that we'd like to do there, that will host at the castle. And the great thing is that looking at the two businesses, the business portions of the building, the event space and the lounge, those will help. The revenue generated from those businesses will actually help us to run these programs through our foundation. So, we're excited about the model that we built, but those three important components that are all intertwined to make this really a very viable and sustainable business on the South Side.
All right, so let's talk about the old school Royal Dance Party school days style. So I know I'm really excited about that. I'm ready. What y'all got for me?
We're excited.
Yeah, we're excited.
Well, if you've been to some of our previous events, we normally try to do something a little different and maybe things that are not typical of this area. So this is another one of those type of events that we're looking to have, literally just an old school dance party. And this is one of those events where people have been asking about what to wear. The only requirement we have is wear your high school or college colors and just represent. It's a party. So to me, that means you're going to need to wear some comfortable clothes, some comfortable shoes. The goal is literally to be on the dance floor all night. So we have a great DJ Seth Marcel, who's awesome.
That's old school, right?
Yeah, right. That's old school right there. So I'm already excited. And we haven't even given him a playlist because he knows what to do. So literally, we just want to have just a great time of people coming together, just enjoying each other in a dance environment.
Yeah, and we want to take it back to where, partying was just that. It was a party, so we were coming together, we weren't just holding up the wall. We weren't just kind of looking and, socializing per se. We were actually partying. We were leaving hot. We were leaving sweating. We were leaving, legs hurting, back, tight, because we had a good time, and that's kind of what we want to get back to. And that's what the castle is all about, just bringing people together simply to have a good time, have some fun, enjoy each other, but in this case, we're going to do it old school style.
Yeah. And you may even see some red Solo cups. In the bill, that's that kind of old school, George.
Oh,
that's
my
God. Kind of old school. Red Solo cups.
If you know, you know, right?
If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
Listen, I noticed you put grown and classy and not grown and sexy. What's that about?
Well, you know how we do things, George.
Okay, for real. I get you.
To me, that was just our way of just saying, it's a grown and classy crowd for those, who know how to act when we go out in public, and and also know how to have a good time. So that was really just our way of just basically saying, it's for a mature crowd.
I appreciate that. And so wear your college colors. So now when I think of that, right, let's hone in, because, we don't know how y'all gonna come in and how many changes of clothes y'all gonna have. So be clear for the rest of us who ain't gonna have 3-4 outfit changes. You're gonna start at this one and then later on. So if I'm a Syracuse grad, does that mean that I should have some combination of orange and blue, or should I wear a sweatshirt with Syracuse? Or whatever. What we saying? Talk to me.
I mean, so George, let's talk about that, because I think somehow people always feel pressure when they come to our events of making sure they have on the right outfit and all of that. This is one of the, what you about to say?
Don't even do that, okay?
I'm just, it's
don't
no
even,
pressure.
Evelyn and Chino, y'all don't even do that, okay? Just give us instruction, because we ain't paying no attention to what you saying about what y'all gonna do. Just give us.
Well, this is the opportunity for people to express themselves in the way they want to.
Whatever
The
you
only
want.
the only thing we're asking is just wear your colors. So if you want to
Okay.
wear your colors, your high school colors, your college colors, and you want to put that in the form of a t-shirt, a sweatshirt,
Okay.
it's up to you.
It's
So
really
we just,
that
it's not,
free. Okay.
it's just be free. We don't want to
Okay.
put any requirements on level of formality or not, casual or not, but we just want you obviously to represent, to feel good about your outfit, and to recognize that this is a grown and classy crowd. So we're not expecting to see attire that's not reflective of our age.
Okay. So that means sneakers, possibly, right? Sneakers.
Yeah. And one of
sneakers.
the things that we try to do, again, always trying to put a little twist on, any concept that we come up with. We do want you to try to be creative, though. You don't have to look like you're in high school, but you can still represent and come up with a clever way of, the colors of either your high school and or your college, and do it in a stylish way.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be.
Y'all heard that, right? Wait.
Yes,
y'all heard that, right?
Heard it in a stylish way.
Okay.
In a stylish way. And I say that because, people think of, the 90s and, you got to look like you on a cast of Martin. And that's not necessarily the case.
You're not looking for big hair, none of that.
Right. It doesn't have to be oversized. Just do it in a creative way. We want creativity. We want you to be able to express yourself. We want to be able to see and imagine what school you went to and just have fun with it.
How much are tickets?
So the tickets are $50 a person. And I think, and we have a VIP level ticket as well. And I think our goal with this is we get the question all the time, how's the castle going? What can I do to help? What can I do to help? And this is an opportunity for you to help. Buy a ticket. Okay. And I think part of it is obviously we're trying to raise funds, but it's also to bring awareness to what we're doing. And honestly, when we go to the banks to say we had X fundraiser, we raised X dollars and we had X attendees, so really those kinds of statistics help us. So when we're going to the bank, for financing, they see that we do have support from the community from this event. And we felt like, $50, that's again, it's a donation. It's your admission. We do, like I said, have a VIP level ticket as well. They're limited of those that are left at this point.
What's the VIP ticket?
The VIP tickets are $150.
Okay.
And we do have a few of those left, but if people are planning to come VIP, they need to make sure they go ahead and purchase those now. But I think, again, we wanted to do something reasonable, something that made sense. Even the venue that we're having it has an old school feel. A lot of people probably have not been to this venue before, pass it all the time, but just don't know it exists.
Oh, it's called McCarthy Mercantile.
It's the McCarthy Mercantile. So it's actually literally, it's if you've ever been downtown and see that store called Wildflowers Armory, it's really right downstairs in that building.
Well, I got a better one for y'all. Everybody go to Jamaica Cuse, which is right there. So,
exactly.
Jamaica Cuse. They know what that is.
Jamaica Cuse, exactly. And Jamaica Cuse is going to be they're providing the alcohol beverages, for the event as well. So we're supporting
how convenient, right? They right upstairs, right?
Right upstairs. So it's literally Jamaica Cuse is right there.
We're also celebrating the naming of the Chis Ingram Athletic Field at PSLA Fowler High School. Chino, I know this is really special.
Yeah, I mean it's so many different ways. We want to look at this, to celebrate his legacy, to remember, who he was on and off the field, to recognize that, he was the type of person that, his name can be up in lights and people can, respect the fact that, he kind of grew up on the West Side, moved over to the South Side. So he's a local kid, that everybody just admired, athletically, and just his oversized personality.
Tell us about Chris. Tell us about
Chris.
I
mean, it's hard to really, break it down, but just the overall, kind of person who just really wants you to be the best version of yourself, and he always pushed you from just start to finish. He never went too far where you got out of arm reach of him. His thing is, if I can do it, I'm going to show you how to do it, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to pull you and support you in doing it as well. So he was always just trying to push people to be the best, push people to work hard, push people to kind of just excel in whatever they decided to do in life and career and sports, and just an overall nice person who just understood both sides, business, sports, and just being a good person and being consistent in every way.
But I think one of his notable accomplishments, which I think should be mentioned, is that he was the first student, Syracuse City School District student, to get a full football scholarship to SU, Syracuse University. I think that's definitely, something that's notable, which is probably largely why he's being able to receive this accolade, as well as he was on the team at SU that had the perfect season, right?
Yeah.
The 11-0 season.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so he, again, a lot of things that he's done, and the great thing about
that Chis Ingram, I remember the name.
Yeah, yeah. So he was on that, undefeated 11-0 team, with all the big guys, the Donnie McPhersons and all the other players, and all those guys are coming back, to celebrate the naming of the field. I talk to those guys, I stay in communication with them, and they're just as excited about this as anyone else. So, the Ingram family, we're just overjoyed at this opportunity. I think this is the first field in city schools to be named after someone. So that's a big honor. And just to know that his legacy is going to be up at that school from this point forward, you just can't put it into words.
And that was kind of how we actually even came up with the idea of this fundraiser, recognizing that, having the football game and the naming ceremony, really kind of an after party celebration. So recognizing that he would be 100, full support of this initiative. Unfortunately, I never got a chance to meet Chris. We were actually at SU at the same time, but I really probably wasn't one of those, football, girls who just knew all the team. So I never actually met him, but I just have heard so much about him, and I'm just so proud of this accomplishment for the Ingram family, and him being the person that Chino has described him, somebody that I think our young people can look up to and aspire to be. So this is our way for those who may not know Chris or have had the opportunity to meet him, to get to know him better through this accolade and these are his accomplishments.
And we should say that this is in memoriam, right?
Yes, it's in memoriam. Yeah.
And one of the things that we want to do is just go back to that time, the mid 80s, the early 90s, when he was playing, in high school. And that's when the parties was fun. That's where things were a lot safe. And, we all used to, enjoy Nowhere City and Gardenias and all those times where it was just about having a good time. So we want to honor him, celebrate his legacy. We want to bring it back to the late 80s and 90s and have some fun and do some fundraising about the castle, because the castle is going to now become the new place where we can all come together and have that type of level of fun again. So it's just a lot of different things moving at the same time, but it's all about bringing everyone together and having everybody celebrate what Chris did, his legacy, and what we're trying to do with the castle.
Friday, October 10th at the McCarthy Mercantile, 217 South Salina Street. It's really right at the corner of Fayette and South Salina Street. And it's an old school real dance party, school day style featuring DJ Seth Marcel. How do people get tickets?
They can go to www.eventcreate.com/E/Royal Dance Party. And actually, if they have the flyer, if you click on the link, there should be a little icon that comes up. You click that icon, it'll take you right to the website.
It's a Royal Old School Dance Party, Friday, October 10th, in support of the Ingram Castle Foundation Training Center and celebrating the naming of the PSLA field at Fowler High School, Chis Ingram Athletic Field. Chino Ingram, Evelyn Ingram, thank you so much. Appreciate you, and good luck with the old school dance party, the Royal Old School Dance Party. And just again, folks, the attire is your high school college colors in the most creative and classy way you can do it.
We'll see you there, George. We'll see you there.
Inspiration for the nation.